Good morning. Hello everybody. Hello all my fellow creatives. Hello Flosstube. Thank you for joining me. My name is Margaret and this is my channel Maggie Lou Stitches. I haven't recorded for 6 weeks at least, and that is because I have been away. I live in Perth, Australia, but I went over to Queensland to visit my mum and dad. And I stayed for 5 weeks and it was fabulous. And I do want to talk about that a bit because it was such a great trip, and it was very different from the last time I went, which was earlier this year, where I also stayed for 4 weeks, but that time I was by myself. This time my big sister who lives here, Vicky, she came with me, and that was such a wonderful thing. So both of us stayed at mum's, and then also a couple of weeks into our stay there, my brother from Tasmania, Andrew, and my brother from Queensland, David, also came and stayed. So there were 4 of us staying there, which is just, we all live so far apart from each other. It was so good to be able to just get together. But back to my sister, the reason that was such a good trip for us is because Vicky doesn't travel. Vicky suffers chronically from fibromyalgia and has to manage pain 24 hours a day. She is always in pain and she's limited by what she can do. So traveling has never, well, not for years now, has not been on the books for Vicky. But she saw that I was going. She decided, look, I want to, so let's go. I said, righto. And one of the things that I loved about this trip that I just went on, and my time with mum and Vicky and all of my family, and this is really important to me, so it's worth mentioning because it makes such a difference, and that is that we were all so good at making sure everybody's needs got met. Because you know, it's just a fact of life that I feel like as a society we're getting better at acknowledging, is that everybody has such different needs all the time, every day. Some people are unwell, some people are more well, some people simply have different movement needs, different dietary needs, different sleeping needs, different accommodation needs, different everything. And I'm no different. I have them too. I have cross-stitch needs. I, of course, took my cross-stitching, and as I've talked about before on this channel, I have a pretty particular setup because I need to have a magnifying lamp, and I need to have my lap stand, and I need to have a chair that isn't too deep, and all these things. And it can feel a bit precious going places and sort of saying, well, I need very specific conditions in which to do my work. But I say that also expressing that it didn't feel precious at mum's. Mum and Vicky totally understood and supported my cross-stitching needs. And it was so good. When I got there, Mum said, I've actually been thinking about your cross-stitching, and I thought about this chair that I've got in my bedroom. That might be good if we moved it out there. And I hadn't thought of that chair, and it was perfect. I was like, Mum, that's fantastic. Thank you. And so moved that out, and I rearranged the lounge room to be able to fit, you know, this chair in and set myself up. And it was just so supported, and I really appreciated that, as every cross-stitcher does. We know. Thank you for supporting our craft. Equal to that, you know, where Vicky's needs with her chronic illness, Mum and I were just like, what can we do? How can we help? No pressure or anything. If you need to stay in bed a lot to be pain-free, do it. No pressure, but also how can we help? Do you want to go anywhere? Do you not want to go anywhere? And, you know, Vicky communicated to me that she felt very looked after too. Her needs were met. And then there's Mum, 91, very independent, very capable. I mean, and I think I've talked about this before from when I went and saw her in March. Ridiculously capable, particularly given in the last 12 months she's had to have major surgery and another smaller surgery. And the most recent procedure was actually not long before we arrived. And so I was a bit like, oh, Mum might need a little bit of extra care. She didn't. I mean, perhaps her main need that needs being met is deafness. Mum does wear hearing aids, but she suffers a lot from like people talking at the same time or loud environments, or, you know, she has to manage her hearing aids and the levels they're at and the environment a lot. And we were like, how can we help with that? You know, how can we make that easier for you? So the three of us living together for 5 weeks was fabulous. I had such a good time. Now, in amongst there, I also took a little 1 night, was it 2 days, 1 night trip up to Brisbane to see a girlfriend of mine. I've mentioned her before. Her name is Francois, and she's actually a Zentangle friend of mine. Before Flosstube, before my current cross-stitch fanaticism, I was like that about Zentangle, and I belonged to 2 different groups and online groups. And I met my friend Francois through an online Zentangle group. We became fast friends. We did lots of artwork together, which I've showed in previous videos. And yeah, we remained firm friends. So I was able to catch a bus from Toowoomba to Brisbane and stay with her overnight. And we hung out for, oh no, it was 2 nights. It was 2 nights. 3 days. I left on the morning of the 3rd. And so that was just so lovely to have a trip within a trip as well. You know, since I'm talking about Francois, my brain now is on Zentangle. And so rather than go no brain, I'm going to get back to that later. I'm going to show you now because I had a look at it when I got home and went, oh, still really like it. I wish I'd do more of it. So this is my incomplete Zentangle. It's getting wobbly. And it's really nice to come home and see lots of things with fresh eyes, actually, including this. And I was just like, oh, I really want to get back to that and finish it. Also, I want to do lots of things, and this isn't getting any of my time at the moment. So stay tuned. This is the Zentangle Opus tile that I sort of said some episodes ago. I'm going to do one, you know, like we do with cross stitch, and I'm going to show you along the way, and you can see my progress. My progress has stalled. See, this is the other thing I just remembered. One of the things, after I'd been there for a couple of weeks, I was thinking about Flosstube and like, wow, should I record one here? And I was looking around Mum's home for a place to record. Mum's place has high ceilings and it's very bright and light and very airy and very open and very spacious. And every time I'd find somewhere to sit down with my camera, there was too much glare on this, there was too much sunshine there, not enough light there. Like I just couldn't quite find a space to film. But as I was looking, it suddenly occurred to me, I could have a special guest. I could have Mum showing her craft on it. And so I thought, I wonder if she'd be up for that. I thought she might be like, no, I do not want to be on camera. But I put it to her and she was exactly like that. Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. But I said, look, let's do a little practice run and see how we go. And it was hilarious because this was in line with trying to find somewhere that was good. And so I'd put the camera somewhere and Mum and I'd sit down in front of it and we'd both just go, no, that is not going to work for various reasons. It was so fun even doing that. I laughed. I thought I found a part and I said, Mum, come and sit on the lounge. I think it's going to be all right sitting here on the lounge. And I put my lap stand and the camera down and I pressed record and she just looked at the camera and straight away said, no, looks like we're sitting on a bus. And I just burst out laughing, like, you know when somebody else sees something in a way you haven't seen it? And I just laughed and said, Mum, it does not. But it also did a bit. Once she said that, I couldn't unsee it. I was like, okay, not here. So we kept trying to find a position and in the end we didn't really, we did. We found one. And so then Mum was saying, well, I wouldn't want to be on camera like this. I'd want to I don't know what she had on, but she was saying I'd want something a bit covering up my neck and I'd want to put a bit of lipstick on. And I said, Mum, I totally understand. I think Mum and I have sort of the same vanity levels where it's like, we're not overly concerned about our appearance, but we are a bit. And we're like, I'll be having lipstick on. And I was saying to her, look, no one really cares about that. Flosstube has all levels of presentation, from people who, you know, are producing like almost a fully produced program that is magnificently presented, to people who just put their phone on where they are. It just doesn't matter. And I just said, no one cares. It's about the stitching and the unique individual people. It's not about the presentation. And Mum said, all right, but I'll just be wanting to brush myself up a bit. I said, yep, okay, me too. So we'll get to it. And the unfortunate thing is, over the next 3 weeks, we just didn't get to it. There was just always something going on for one of us. Mum would be like, oh yes, we'll do that today, but I'm going up to see Perry now. And I'd say like, oh yeah, I'll come up and see Dad too. Or, okay, you go this time and I'll stay behind and I'll go up tonight. And then when Mum come home, I'd do something else. Or there were jobs we had to work out there. Anyway, all of that to say was, I did try. And it's something for me to try again when I go next time. Oh, because what made me think of that was Mum's craft at the moment is crochet, which is really interesting because she may have, oh, I can hear a pussycat. Oh, Smudge, I have to tell you about Smudge too. While Mum dabbled with all sorts of crafts through her life that I spoke about in my beginning episodes, and it was only in the last year, I think, maybe 2, that she decided, no, I want to learn how to crochet and I want to do it. And so she has, I still see her when it comes to the beginning to make a magic ring she's doing like granny square rugs, mostly for charity. But it was very beautiful. She was working on one, oh gosh, I'm going all over the place. What I was going to say first is I still see her sitting when she goes to start a new rug and she's got to do the magic ring to start it off with. She, I can see when she's up to that because she has to get out her iPad and YouTube and looking up how to do it again. And I find that with knitting and crochet, the beginning for me was always the hardest. Once you get going, oh my goodness, it can be very mindless, very easy, very automatic. But that beginning, so anyway, so Mum's making these rugs and it was so lovely when we were there because as the rug grows, it's sitting over her lap, which it was cold in Toowoomba, so that was required. Excuse me. But my sister sent a photo to her daughter, my niece, of Mum crocheting on this rug. And my niece's son, who is 14, just made the comment, wow, imagine what it would be like having something like that your great-grandmother had made. Like, that would be beautiful. And Vicky passed that message on to Mum, and Mum said, oh, would he like this one? And we were like, I think he really would. And she said, well, I have another one. Would, her daughter like this? And then she said, I don't have 3. And Carly has 3 kids. And she's like, but I can start another one. And, knitting for charity is fantastic. But this opportunity to also knit, to know that her crochet would be really appreciated by her great-grandchildren was just really lovely. And so Vicky then had these blankets to bring home with her. Which is always interesting when you're packing to go home because you have more than what you came over with. And Vicky was saying, I won't, because I won't be going out very much and I won't be shopping. But she did. She had these 2 big crochet blankets. Well, they weren't blankets. They were like large square lap rugs. But anyway, they were lovely. And so, yeah, I was sort of looking forward to doing a Flosstube where Mum would talk about these projects and just we'd get to talk about that. But anyway, Mum, look, I've just talked about it on your behalf. I hope I got it all right. That's the problem when I talk about other people. I would think they must be listening thinking, that's not exactly right, Margaret. Vicky, are you thinking that? Mum, are you thinking that? Anybody? Anyway, don't tell me if it's not right. It's hard enough doing this without having the pressure of having to be absolutely accurate about everything. So that's been my last 6 weeks. And then I got to come home to see, of course, my family, but to see Smudge and Charlie. And I mean, of course, I'm so lucky. We are all so lucky to be living in this age where when you're away, you can video call your family. So I, of course, got to see my pussycats on video when I was away. And it was very interesting because Charlie, my little black cat, is my shadow here. She does not leave me. If I sit down, she wants to get on my lap. She sleeps next to me in bed, usually, or on a little stool with a heated mat that I've made for her, but she is my shadow. Now, of course, with me gone, what was she going to do? She replaced me with my daughter Jillian, and really replaced me. She lives in Jilly's room now, and when I came back, I think poor Charlie, I mean, she's 16, so she's quite sprightly in physical energy, but mental energy, I don't know if she is. So she was very confused when I got back, and she sort of didn't take to me as nicely as I would have liked. And now she's sort of dividing her time. She's still mostly in Jilly's room, but she did sleep next to me last night. But it's taken a little bit of adjustment coming home, but still I was happy to see her, even if she was confused. And then, of course, my darling Smudge. He's sitting down looking outside the window next to me now. If I can pick her up, oh no, I shouldn't pick her up, and that is because she still has skin conditions, skin ulcerating wounds on her belly, and we still try to do what we can about it. Being away for 5 weeks, she's so soft. I didn't realise till I came back and patted her. I was like, my God, have you always been this soft? And that's just the beauty of going away and coming back. You get fresh eyes and fresh senses for everything. So anyway, so that's both the cats. For older cats, they're doing well, all considered. And I was just happy to be back with them. Should we talk about cross stitch? Should I show you my cross stitch? I haven't even shown you any cross stitch. This is a Flosstube. Okay, guess what? I've got 2 projects to show you. Look at me go. Okay, I'm going to start with Earbuds by Ink Circles. Okay, so here it is. This was fun to do because we just picked our own colours. I had a purple, as I mentioned in previous episodes, this is my K-pop music admiration project, and purple is the colour of BTS, one of my favourite groups, and so that's why I've picked this light purple 28 or 32 count Evenweave. I can't remember because it's been so long. And then I just found a purple in my stash to do here, and then I found this silver. I had some silver, silky, oh look, I can't remember what that's called. I'll put it up on the screen if I remember, but I had some of that, so I made the buttons and I made a border out of that. And then I've just started this tangle of headphones around the side in white. Now, as well as that, it's going to have little album covers, and Jilly and I have started designing the album covers, and I did one little test. I couldn't find it actually. I did one little test, and that's when we discovered our colours weren't bold enough. Like they're so little. I mean, the little album covers fit in here, so they're just 10 by 10 tiny little things, so they need to be really bold. So I'm going to finish this first before I move on to the actual album covers. So in Toowoomba, I was doing this in tandem with my full coverage butterfly that I'll show you in a minute. And I hate to admit this to Flosstube because of all the Flosstubers that I watch that have so many projects. I don't like having more than one project. It distressed me. Even though I like working on this when I'm working on it, there is part of my brain going, what about the butterflies? What about the butterflies? Are you not doing the butterflies? And when I'd be working on the butterflies and this is just sitting down there and be like, but earbuds, I could have that finished within, what about finishing earbuds? And I actually found that when I sat down to stitch, I'd be like, well, which one do I want to stitch on? And I didn't even like that decision making to have to do. When I just sit down to stitch on my butterflies, because that's all I've got, I don't have to decide. All I've got to decide is where on the pattern do I want to work, and that's a fun decision. But which project? I didn't find that a fun decision. I laugh. Katie Jeremiah's mum talks about screaming screaming cross stitches. One screams so loudly for me that's it. Two don't scream, they cry. They go, what are you doing? Or I do, one or the other. So I actually decided after a week of sort of trying to do these two in tandem or just trying to manage how I did it, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. So this is now going to have to wait. It's going to have to wait till I finish butterflies. Well, maybe, like never say never, maybe in a couple of weeks I'll... Guess what? I felt like finishing earbuds or I felt like working on it. I don't know. But anyway, so that's earbuds. I am enjoying it. But here's my butterflies. Here's my butterflies. Look at this guy. I shouldn't say butterflies. It's one big butterfly and flowers and stained glass. So I am at, looking at my notes, 42%, not quite 50. I'm really looking forward to getting past 50 and being at the bottom half of this pattern. What can I say? I am loving it. I love it. Let's have a little closer look. That butterfly is coming in just with lovely colours. It's so lovely actually. This yellow at the top of the butterfly's wings there is so insipid to actually stitch. But then when I pull back from it, it looks so lovely. But as I'm doing it, it's just this sort of, it's not enough colour. But it works, doesn't it? It works. So that's that. That is my stained glass butterfly by Stitch is So Beautiful, 42%. Yay, yay, yay. Carrying on happily until it's finished. I need to. I feel, I've said it from the beginning, I feel like I work on this like it's my job. I feel obsessed by it. So after all that chatting, there's my two cross stitches that I was able to show you really quickly. But that's all right. I have another achievement in floss tubing in cross stitch world. Oh, I was so hoping to tell you that I'd met this achievement. I've nearly met it. I am so close. And that is, I've almost finished my complete watch through all of Karen the Stitching Owl's videos. Now, I think she's up to 52. That might not be right. And I think I'm at 47. So it's something like that. I was so close. I thought I'm going to be able to say I'm finished. But, so yeah, 50, she's got, approximately 52 videos, most between an hour and an hour and a half in length. Jam-packed with goodness. I mean, so good. And I have mentioned Karen before when I found her channel and just went, holy moly. I don't want to just skip to now. I want to see everything. She works on so many projects, small and large, that you're just getting to see so much cross stitch in each video. But oh my, as I mentioned last time, she is a pianist and she has a moment of music where she plays in her video. And in a lot of videos plays more than once, but in most at least has one moment of music at the end. And you never know what it's going to be. Classical or modern contemporary music, but it's the way she talks about the pieces that she chooses and talk about things like spatial recognition of the keyboard and how you move around the keyboard and how some pieces actually help with learning that spatial recognition. Or she talks about a composer and what she knows about their life and what their pieces are trying to communicate. And she loves to tell a story that goes along with each piece so that we can close our eyes and imagine, what was one of the last ones was the character of Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, I think, Shakespeare. And this piece was written imagining this cheeky sprite, fairy, something. I wish my recall was better, but it was something like that. And once she describes that story, you hear it in the music. Oh, I love it. So honestly, between her cross-stitching and her music and her stories about life and her pups and the cameos by her husband. I mean, it is a delight. And then so the other night I sat down to stitch and I thought, what am I up to? I'm up to episode 44, and there'd been a week or two that I hadn't been able to watch, and I was really looking forward to getting back into it. And I sat down to watch, and right at the end of that one, she gave a shout out to my channel. And I was just like, and I hadn't realised, I hadn't got a notification or anything, even though she tagged me in it, so I didn't realise. So that was so lovely. So just a bit of mutual admiration there between Karen and I. That has been a lovely thing to watch, and I look forward to the fact that next time I'm talking to you, I will have finished that watch through, and so then I'll be able to get back to some of my other channels that I'm actually a bit behind on. But there is one more shout out I want to do, because this one I'm not behind on, because I never get behind on this one, because he's my new favourite Flosstuber. I have been watching him for a while, since he started some months ago, and I'm sure you are all totally familiar with Colin from Stitch Apocalypse. I feel serious when his comes on. I'm like, whatever I'm doing, I'm like, oh, I've just noticed that Colin's released a new, I just have to stop. No, I'm not coming out anymore. No, you go do that. No, I'm watching this. His stitching is something else, and by something else I mean particularly the samplers that he is drawn to are something that I have certainly never been drawn to, and I have not even understood their appeal in the past, or till watching him stitch them and talk about them. I am invested in his samplers now, in all of his work, but his Franzi sampler, it's wild, and I didn't understand it at first. And after watching Colin repeatedly, like, I not only understand it, I'm, like I said, invested in it. It is beautiful in a different category of beautiful that I hadn't appreciated before. And that's what I love about Flosstube. We all bring such unique perspectives of beauty. And I love seeing that. I love the way Colin talks about his work, his mending sampler. I want to do that. I don't know when. And I just really, really appreciate his presence in the Flosstube community. Very much. Go well, Colin. Keep going. We are watching. I have never even commented on his videos because I'm a bit like, whoa, what could I say that would add to that? Nothing. So to myself, I just go, that is a great Flosstube. It's funny being a fangirl to people's Flosstubes, but I love it. K-pop and Flosstube, that's me. Okay, I think I have talked about everything that I wanted to talk about after 6 weeks. It's lovely to be a part of this community, and I did miss it while I wasn't doing this. But I was also telling myself, it's part of life, and I am still living life, but it's nice to be back, and it'll be nice to interact with you all. Again, I would love to say thank you so much for all of the comments and the communications that I receive around my Flosstubes. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, like I always say, come say hi in the comments. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to know about what you're stitching. I'd love to know if you have a Flosstube. I'd love to know if you have an Instagram. I love to go and check out all your work. I love it. Okay, I think that's really it. So till next time, whenever that will be, go enjoy your stitching. I'm going to go and enjoy mine. Stay well till I see you next time. Thanks. Bye.